Hello everyone, it's Jacob with Must Contain Minis, and today we're going to look at the Critical Role Naga Abomination made by WizKids. Now this miniature comes pre-primed, but unpainted, and the purpose of this video was to test out Vallejo Xpress Color paints for my very first time. I have to say I'm very happy with the result. Where I live is very cold during the winter time, so it is a very good thing that these WizKid models come pre-primed. I don't even have to go outside or use my brush-on primer. It's fantastic. Now, to get it ready, I did paint the surface white. So I started with the gray primer, and then I did a dry brushing of white, just to make it so the highlighted areas would be a little brighter with the paint. I put some Gloomy Violet Express paint on my palette and started with the Naga right away. The way that I painted was I painted towards the grooves to make it so that the paint would go into the recesses of the model a little better. After just one coat, it looks pretty good. I thought about going over it again just to make the purple more vibrant, but a friend of mine told me with the Express Color paints not to keep going over it because then you'll lose the textures that it adds in. So I decided to go on to the next color. I did the top of the model for the snake scales with plasma red. Then the bottom, I used a velvet red. While they were wet, I mixed the two together in the middle of the back, and I was pretty happy with how it turned out. At this point, I consider my Vallejo Xpress Color paint test a success. Now, I still wanted to add more colors in, but not all of my paints are Vallejo, so I did use other brands. At this point, everything on there is just Express Color paints, with the exception of the mud on the base. That's something else. The detail and texture right out of the bottle with the Express paint is really nice. Let's make this even better. I added some green for the eyes, some white for the spikes and teeth, and some brown for the hair. At this point, it looks fantastic, but I wanted to take it a little further. To give it a little more definition in the shadows and that sort of thing, I decided to use a wash on it. So I covered the whole thing in a strong tone wash of some sort. For some reason, I always like the way washes look as they dry. When they're still on there and they're wet, they look fantastic. Now, they do tone down a bit as they dry, so they're not as strong as when this image is up, but they dry up like this. This model is now complete. All that's left to do is to cover it in a Vallejo matte varnish to protect the colors underneath and to add some earth effects to the base itself. This first experience of using Vallejo Xpress Color paints was very positive. I will be using these again. For now, I'm going to paint up some more WizKid models just to get some practice in with them before I use this paint on my Tyranid army for Warhammer 40k. The way you use these Express Color paints is different than the typical method of base color, shade, and highlights that I typically do for my miniature painting. I plan to do a tutorial on these paints in the future, so if you're new to using Express Color or any of the paints similar to it, keep watching this channel for future videos. Until next time, happy gaming everyone!